Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Blue. Welcome back for the second time today because typically as I put up our first video about regionalisation and salary caps, literally within half an hour the EFL has come out with, well, what I guess is kind of like a weekly statement now. We had one, I'm losing track of the dates, probably 2 weeks back, and then we had Rick Parry's open letter. So the EFL are just keeping the information dripping out as best they can, as normal. This was retweeted by all the clubs, kind of blanket statement. It opens up by saying the EFL notes this morning's newspaper report. So that would imply that even if it was being planned, they have responded to some speculation in the press this morning. Maybe some of the stuff I talked about earlier from Simon Hughes' piece in The Athletic. Just check out the previous video to hear all about that. I won't repeat that. It goes on. The position of the EFL remains unchanged in that the priority is to resume the 1920 season as soon as possible based on guidance from the relevant authorities. They are sticking to their story that they want the season played out. Whether we get one unilateral thing across the EFL, or as people are starting to suggest now that the situation being that different for Leagues 1 and Leagues 2 than it is for the Championship, remains to be seen. But as you'll see, these statements are written with particularly bulletproof language. Position unchanged, priority is to resume. So they're not saying it's definitely going to happen, but that's what they want to happen. It goes on to say a successful return can only come about through a collaborative approach with all stakeholders, including the Premier League and the Football Association, in order for important issues to be aligned, such as, before I say such as, I will say that's not necessarily calling out, but really putting the onus on the Premier League and the Football Association. They're saying, look, we want to collaborate with you. We have to collaborate with you. Our division funnels into your division, which kind of provides all of the money, all of the opportunity, and yet all of the problems as well with the Premier League. And then obviously the FA with cup fixtures and their kind of position as the sort of overseeing organisation for the whole country. And you remember the Premier League and the EFL are kind of members clubs of their own, which may kind of intimate why we have so many problems at the moment when you look at all of the different bodies, all with their different interests, all having to act together at this point. So the things that need to be aligned, these important issues, such as scheduling of fixtures, well, that always seems to be done okay, doesn't it? Promotion, relegation, well, that's very, very interesting. And when you're talking the EFL, talking to the Premier League, that's only one promotion and relegation we're talking about, because the EFL can sort out their own relegations. I guess you can talk about the relegation down into the National League, but I guess the big thing they're talking about is people going up into the Premier League and people coming down from the Premier League. Interesting developments in Holland on that, looking like possible cancellation in Holland of the Eredivisie, but immediately 4 legal claims apparently filed by disaffected, let's just say, victims of that decision. Also says the important issue of the opening and closing of transfer windows. I think we said on the channel before it was the Portsmouth CEO or whatever position he held there, Portsmouth money guy, I guess, saying that the windows should be relaxed in respects of smaller clubs not having their ability to raise money later on in possibly troubled waters in terms of selling assets. Obviously it works both ways, but I think having the option there is pretty much key for them. It goes on to mention testing and ensuring that there's no negative impact on the country's frontline workers in the event of behind closed doors football. Obviously, every time we mention behind closed doors football, without fail, we'll get a comment saying, what about the ambulance people who are required at games if players have to be taken away? I'm sure there's some statutory paramedic that needs to be on site, not just for the players, but there will have to be other people in these stadiums somehow. So that's the EFL's answer to that they won't do it if there's a negative impact on country's frontline workers. The EFL says they have a medical advisor. I wonder who that is, considering info and evidence from the UK and abroad when it comes to testing. It does seem with the testing that, and this was Tony Blair mentioning this about private companies, and in fact the government in the briefing mentioned lots of private companies have now. Looks like there'll be a bit of an arms race with testing, and probably the EFL and the Premier League will have to sort out their own testing and how they're going to go about doing that. They're working on necessary protocols for closed doors games with all 71 clubs and the broadcast partners and the supporters. Really, I suppose where the supporters are concerned, it's only really the broadcast partners, and where the EFL's confirmed that's iFollow and I suppose if you're paying your Sky TV or your Now TV subscription, you're gonna still want to see games down that channel. So I'm sure when these behind closed doors games do happen, they will be everywhere, all over the place, being broadcast. Kind of conclude saying they've received many proposals financially. Obviously, there's an open door policy from Rick Parry for receiving ideas on how to go about sorting the financial issues. The range of options and no decisions have been taken at this stage. Discussing financial regulations and potential changes as well, following on from divisional reviews of cost control measures that were already taking place. Very keen under Rick Parry to point out that they were already looking at the car crash, particularly in the Championship in terms of cost control measures. Obviously the spending is out of control in the Championship, and then you follow it further down, and it's the lack of income then in relation as the ladder goes up that's the problem lower down. But it does look like there'll be potential changes to the profit and sustainability regulations. So FFP, will it be suspended during this crisis? I suspect it will. Then we get the normal questions of Derby and Sheffield Wednesday, because their infractions were before this. Oh my God, what a mess. How would you solve that? It finishes to say all future decisions are in the interest of the league as a whole. So generally, as a connoisseur of the Championship and the lower division, I've got a Championship YouTube channel, and I support Ipswich, who are in League One. All the statements, I mean, you would imagine they're all written by very clever sort of legal minds who are very good with words and went to a better university than I did. It all reads very well. I like the fact that they're kind of holding the Premier League and the FA to account, saying, look, you've got to work with us, you know, we're all part of this chain. People will be pleased to hear that they're going to try and ensure there's no negative impact on the country's frontline workers during behind closed doors stuff. Relaxing of FFP. Looks like they're going to be going it alone for their testing as well, although that might be me reading between the lines. And very clear to point out that under Rick Parry's watch, certainly, they're very, very much aware of the financial issues, that cost control measures were already being reviewed, and they really want to make it clear they're talking about the whole league, all three divisions. This isn't just about Leeds and West Brom in the top two and big clubs like Forest and Fulham in the top six and big clubs like Sheffield Wednesday and Derby with FFP. This is about Fleetwood and Rochdale and, you know, all the names of Crewe up the top of that division, all the names I reel off. Rotherham, who ran at a profit, who are currently looking set for a return to the Championship. So generally, for what I can say, lots of kind of good points made, and I do hope they're going to try and hold the Premier League to account, whether that's like your little brother picking a fight with a big brother or not, I don't know, but at least it's been said. Let me know what you think in the comments of the latest info from the EFL. As usual, follow on Twitter at Benjamin Blue, ring the bell, subscribe for notifications. Sorry, 2 videos in such quick succession, but hey, like buses, we wait for some news and then a couple of bits come within minutes of each other. Thank you very much for watching. Get involved in the comments. Remember, be kind and take other people's point of view into consideration when you are commenting. Over and out. See you all on the next video.